All right, welcome to the LongBox Paradox, episode 70 in the quarantine edition. We're just getting our stay-at-home order here in Florida. My co-host Jennifer at Gin and Comics is already on quarantine.
We're on week 3. I don't know what year it is.
It's all blending
anymore.
together.
It's all time is an illusion at this point. I know I woke up and brushed my teeth, so it's a new day.
As long as I don't have someone pulling up to my house wearing a hockey mask like in part 2 of Mad Max with just turn around. Oh god, I can't even remember the character. Humongous I can't even remember. Just turn around. Oh god, I can't even do the line anymore. It's just that's a very homoerotic movie now that I think about it. Sorry, I'm already going down the rabbit hole.
Speaking of Mad Max, see, we're going down that rabbit hole already. Speaking of Mad Max, I'm here to live my best Imperator Furiosa life. I'm here for it.
You heard about she's getting her own movie.
Which she should.
Well, okay, we're talking, and it makes sense because her and Tom Hardy hated the fuck out of each other.
Yeah.
Like, they wouldn't talk unless they were on screen because he is one of those method actors that goes into character.
Well, that's a good thing because he only had, 3 lines in the entire movie? So, if he's not talking on screen and he's not talking off screen.
Well, he was tied to the front of that truck for a while.
Witness!
Jesus Christ, here we go. So we were just talking about before we started, and I felt like it was worth talking about since we have no comics this week yet again. So there was an article on Bleeding Cool and corroborated by retailer Ryan Higgins of Comic Conspiracy in Sunnyvale, California. Within the next 2 weeks, you'll be able to buy a physical comic from your LCS anywhere on Earth online. You'll be able to read a digital copy the minute you buy it. Your LCS will get a free physical copy to give you later. It's going to be using this distribution method implemented by Comic Hub. Point-of-sale system used by retailers allows readers to purchase books from their LCS online. Lets publishers upload previews pages, but now they'll simply upload full digital copies of the books to give readers instant access. Then once shipping resumes, you can redeem those digital copies for physical ones with your LCS. Very, very convoluted system. And also, what if your store doesn't open within a couple of weeks? Mm-hmm. How's that money going to be distributed between your LCS, Comic Hub? Is Comic Hub an in-between?
And what about the publishers or the people, public publishing? A lot of them are shut down right now. So when are we even going to get these digital comics? Are they going to lose their flavor 2 weeks from now?
Also, Marvel, their publisher, Dan Buckley, commented that you might see digital comics from them released in the next couple of weeks.
I think that as soon as, because everything's been rolling out kind of like day by day with all of this stuff. And there was DC, who was one of the later publishers to come on and say, okay, well, we're going to only release select titles digitally. And then I think that there was just a lot of backlash from comic book stores, from some comic consumers that, for me, I know personally, if I read something digitally, I'm probably not going to pick it up physically unless it's a really hot title or if it's a #1 or something like that. And I think that ultimately does a disservice to our local comic book stores. So I know that there's a lot of backlash, and then they kind of backtracked and said, well, I guess we're not going to do that now. So we'll see.
I'm kind of all over the place with it because I could see myself buying digital, but if just to get the read. And then, there's my usual pull list of stuff that I always get physical, which I kind of mix mine digital and physical. There's ones I just get to read. There's ones I collect because I hate having gaps in my collection.
Yeah. And especially, too, I know right now I've been reading a lot of stuff digitally that is older. So things that I wouldn't necessarily easily be able to find, even having 10 awesome shops around me, even going in and trying to find single issues of a lot of things, it's hard. So I think that digital I can do with some things, but when it comes to new stuff, it's going to be physical. Nicole, They will make a deal with elves to get stuff out. Free pocket watches. Yes. Yes. For your firstborn once a week. I would give up my firstborn, but joke's on you. I don't plan on having kids, so.
I'll give up someone else's firstborn.
There you go. Someone else's firstborn. There's a lot of kids in the world.
I mean, I was gonna say something real glib, but given the circumstance of the times right now, I'm not gonna do that.
We won't go there.
Yeah, it's weird, and like, also speaking out weird gaps in collections, it's weird because now I have this giant gap in my Batman collection that I will never fill, but I know it's there.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say the name because
for obvious reasons.
Yes.
There's someone. Sorry, I know that we talk about it every single time, but one of the things that I did, I went back and I reread last night just because for the hell of it. But I did go back and reread Vision because it was pretty damn good. It's a quick, easy read.
I was surprised that when we had the Comic Queen on, she was like, "It's not that great. It's good, but everybody talks way too kindly about it."
Granted, I think that there's a little bit of a difference of opinion because I'm definitely burned out on superheroes. I feel like I've been burned out on superheroes since I began reading comic books. So the take on superheroes that I feel like Alan Moore does really well, and a lot of those Vertigo writers where it's a superhero, but they're torn and it treats them like real people. And even though Vision is not a real people, but this one shows a lot of humanity. I really enjoyed it. I'll talk about it that I like it forever.
I enjoyed it. Like, I honestly think that's Tom King's best work.
So I went back and
with the humanity put into a character that I don't think ever really gets explored enough. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the thing. There was not a lot of good Vision stories.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what WandaVision does. If we ever end up seeing that, I think that WandaVision will do extremely well.
That finished filming.
So we hopefully should see it come out.
I'd like to see them move it up a little bit. Falcon Winter Soldier is the one that got interrupted.
Pushed back. Yeah.
Yes.
After reading Vision, I was thinking about Miracle Man. And I feel like I saw it, I think, in Strange Adventures #1, where the main character always has a conversation with their wife while they're like in a action-packed moment, and he's like talking on the phone. Or in Miracle Man, he's talking to Big Barda about like, oh, how are we going to redecorate the house, and let's do this. So I feel like that's like a signature Tom King thing where he just has those in the day in the life type conversations.
I do have a weird question for you now that we're on the subject of Miracle Man.
Yeah.
That New Gods movie they were working on, do you have any kind of excitement for that at all?
A little bit, but superhero for me, the real comic book stories that I like will never be superheroes. With the exception of maybe like that Black Hammer style weird superhero type stuff.
Yeah.
But when it comes to, I'm just, nah.
Well, it was weird because it was Tom King kind of helping write it with Ava DuVernay. And I was just like, I'm all over the place with it because DuVernay is a very talented director.
100%, yeah.
But I honestly did not like that movie that she just put out not too long ago. I know it totally wasn't for me, though.
Which one was it?
It was the kids movie. I can't remember.
Was it Wrinkle in Time?
Yes.
See, I liked that movie, but I went in.
I have no history with that book either, though.
I read that book when I was a kid. Like, that was probably one of the first books that I remember being gifted to me as a kid. So it was cool to see, but it literally went in not remembering anything about it, not having any idea of what it was going to be. And I enjoyed it just for the spectacle of it. I thought that it was beautiful. It was a beautiful movie. So I enjoyed Wrinkle in Time. I think New Gods will be fun, but I like going in with zero expectations sometimes.
Yeah, I'll watch it. I watch every comic movie, even the bad ones. Mm-hmm. Geez, I sat through Batman, Superman, the whole Martha scene.
Your mom's name is Martha?
I love the Step Brothers meme. We're like, Did we just become best friends?
Yup.
Oh, okay. Now that we've gone down this rabbit hole of the Tom King of it all.
Yeah. Well, we got it out of the way, so now we don't need to talk about it anymore, unless it probably randomly pops up.
And to talk about random, this whole episode's going to be random. We kind of brought some books and stuff to talk about, and we'll start with your first book.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead. It's actually, so I want to give a shout out to Hero Trader because I ended up ordering a lot of stuff from them. They had a really good sale online, so depending on what's left, it was for Wrinkle. It was beautiful, but whatever, Martha. Yeah.
Martha. Why did you say that name? What?
So I do want to go ahead and shout out Hero Trader because they have a very special place in my heart. I spent a lot of time there when I was in Florida. So anyways, I went ahead and ordered a box from them, and the box smells like their shop. Like I immediately opened it and I'm like, normally when you go into comic book stores, especially some of the older ones that aren't very well kept up, they have a certain smell, which is not fun. Hero Trader is not that way. You walk in and it smells so good. I love it. So anyways, I ordered a shit ton of stuff from them and I just got it in today. The first thing that I picked up, I got Swamp Thing, the Alan Moore Swamp Thing. It's something that I read when I was in high school, but then I never finished it. So I went ahead and picked up Volume 1 and Volume 2. On Friday when I get paid, I'm probably going to pick up volumes like 3 through like 7, whatever it ends up being. So I really
it holds up so well.
I really can't wait to dig into this. Dig in.
Don't get any beard sprinkles on you.
Oh no, maybe we'll see. But Alan Moore is such a fantastic writer. I love him. I have a filthy thing for Alan Moore, which I know he's not watching because I'm pretty sure he doesn't have internet, but.
He'll scry it in his looking glass.
He'll see because he's a wizard. He's a magical wizard and
live forever.
Live forever. He's gonna live past us all. So anyways, I really can't wait to read Swamp Thing. So that's one of my first picks.
Awesome. I love that series. Mm-hmm. And it took me forever to go back and read it all, and I binged it all.
That's what happened to me. Like I read it in high school and then that's been 13, 14 years now. So we'll see.
And for mine, Amy Reeder, Brandon Montclair, Rocket Girl.
I love Amy Reeder. I love it.
This is an incredibly fun series. If you're looking for something very... Darn it, Shining Light. If you're looking for a very easy book to read that's fun, got a little bit of humor, everything else, Amy Reeder's art is fantastic. You get to follow a character who's just completely a screw-up, who goes back in time. There's interesting characters, and I really can't dive too far into it because I don't want to spoil anything for new readers.
Yeah.
Just if you are liking Amethyst, if you are a Devil Dinosaur Moon Girl fan, go ahead and give this book a chance. It is a short series, so like it ended, I want to say it was 2 or 3 trades, maybe 2 trades.
I think it's just 2 at this point. At least that's all I have. So,
but give it a read. Again, like Amy Reeder is fantastic. Her art in it, the covers also are just 100% great. And again, it's a fun, easy read. It's not too heavy. It's not childish at all either. Like as a guy, like it's a female-driven character, but it's enough excitement that, you know, as a guy who likes superhero books, you will enjoy it because she is a screw-up. I'm gonna keep saying this. She's a screw-up, but she's very lovable. Like you kind of fall in love with the character. And the supporting cast of characters as well.
I feel like I wouldn't necessarily recommend this book for like kids.
No.
But maybe like a good book for a teenager. Like, I mean, obviously I was a teenager when I was reading shit like
12 or 13 up, I'd
Yeah.
say.
I would say like yeah, for sure. I know I was reading like really like messed up stuff. Not messed up stuff, but like I was into Vertigo when I was 13 years old. Like I was reading Swamp Thing and Sandman and all that, but I think Rocket Girl is a good for a teenage person.
Yeah, and again, as an adult, I enjoy the hell out of it. As a
Yeah.
40 something,
Yeah.
that would be my pick. And again, you can get them cheap at your comic store, or any online distributor of comics. I did read something that freaked me out. The My Comic Shop,
Mhm.
they shut down.
Really?
They closed up because of the stay at home order, and they're the
For
biggest.
good
No.
or
They
okay.
but they had the stay at home. They're not essential. So like all of Texas, and they are one of the biggest online
Yeah.
shops.
I'm
So
That's really tough because I
yeah.
know that like I've got some like good shops around me that I can do some online ordering from, and I did order from Florida, which is literally the complete opposite side of the country for me. But we'll
But
see.
if you look around, even like you can get the issues, the complete run probably cheap. Even if you had to go on eBay, like you could get the run. But
Yeah.
check out your LCS again. Like if they have the back issues, you could probably get a good deal with shipping from them.
Mhm.
Even if it's a neighboring city, just shop around. You'll be able to find it. Even just Google Rocket Girl, and
Yeah.
you'll find it.
Okay.
And you're next.
Okay, so I know I can already hear so many sighs out there or whatever. But for some stupid reason, I don't know if it's because I moved or if I just lent these titles to someone and I don't have them anymore or if they're just lost somewhere. But I was missing volume 2 and volume 3 of Saga. So, of course, I had to buy those. So I have a complete collection. So I do have now volumes 1 through 9. I do also have the thick boy, the thick with 2 C's volume that came out
Mm-hmm.
that collected all of them, but that's a little bit harder of a read because it's smaller. So I plan on doing another reread of Saga, and I was missing volumes 2, volume 3. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to read all of them in their majestic glory because it's so good. People, like if you're watching this and this is your like third time, if this is your first time watching this show, or if it's your third or fourth time watching this show and you haven't read Saga, I'm a little bit mad. Please read Saga. I love it. It's so good. Money back guaranteed. Not by me, but maybe by someone. But please go and read Saga, even if it's the first volume. Go and read it. It's so gosh darn good.
At least you have a good reason for moving across country and losing yours, where I freaked out and had a breakdown and gave away like half my collection of
Yeah.
trades. They went to
I
good
mean,
homes, but
see, there you go. I mean, now's a good time to like write because Hero Trader, shameless, so because they were having such a good sale, I'm like, okay, let me look and see what are some things that I'm missing. Let me see some things that I may even want double copies of. Like I think that they even had volume 1 for half off, so it was $5 on their online site. If it's still there on Friday, I'm probably going to go ahead and buy like Saga Volume 1. I've probably purchased at least 10 times because it's the gift that I give to people who want to go into comic books. So I may even just buy another 2, 3 more copies because I love it. So please go read Saga. Please go read Saga. Please. I will even, like, if you know me, I'll even FaceTime you and I'll read Saga to you. Like, I'll read you a bedtime story, or if you're a morning person, I'll read you a morning bedtime story. Let's cuddle in bed and read Saga, people. Please.
that's hysterical.
Okay, now to yours.
So we talked about this on the Nailbiter stream. Ghosted. It is a haunted heist. Joshua Williamson, Goran Sudzuka, and with the don't know if that's the inker or the colorist Miroslav Smirva. So this is kind of another one of those Ocean's 11 things, kind of where it's put together a team. The main protagonist, Jackson Winters, he's not a good person. He's a thief, basically. It starts out with him in prison. He gets broken out. Basically, this rich guy pays for him to get broken out because he has had encounters with the occult. As we go into what happened, why he's in jail, he and a team of people went in to pull a heist at an Indian casino that was haunted. His whole team is slaughtered except for him. He's the only one that lives. So he gets broken out of jail and he puts together a team like a psychic, another guy who deals with the occult, these ghost hunter guys, a person who doesn't believe in stuff like that. So he's kind of the truth teller of it all. Very close to Finch from Nailbiter, kind of the demeanor of the person. So they go to this house that's kind of reminds me of that 13 Ghosts movie, and they're being paid to steal a ghost. And as the story goes on, it starts going into, your haunted house tropes. The series has 4 trades. It went on for a while, and it just tells the tale of Jackson Winters. And like the second is dealing with the people who own the Indian casino that he originally tried to steal from, and them wanting revenge and to fix things. And there's an interesting cast of characters. The psychic is my favorite, Rusnak. She just has this odd look to her. I love the way Suzuka draws her. This is the book that got me into Joshua Williamson. I would say compared to Nailbiter, it feels like he's feeling out his writing in this, where he's kind of finding himself. Where Nailbiter, I think, is his final form, so to say, his evolution.
This book came out before Nailbiter, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And you said 4 volumes.
Yes. I want to say like 20-something issues altogether.
Okay.
Definitely had an end. But volume 1 by far was the best volume out of them. Because I think by then he'd started Nailbiter and was kind of already, not going to say trailing off, but I felt as each volume went on, it got a little less good. So I was very happy when this ended.
So this one should probably be really easy if someone wanted to go to their local shop or order
Definitely
online from their local shop and get it shipped and delivered.
100%, and it's 4 trades, but just try the first one. And this one fell under when Image was doing the $9.99 first trades, which I don't understand why more companies don't do that.
I think that $9.99 is really good for a consumer.
Brilliant price point.
100%. I think that if it was the difference of buying, because Image did that for such a long time, like Saga Volume 1, $9.99 to get into a series, especially when I think about Marvel and DC coming out with volumes 1, 16, 17, $20 for a volume 1. So obviously that $9.99 price point is really, really good. I think that when it comes to creator-owned things, which Image does, so Image publishes like a writer artist like their own creation, $9.99 may not be enough to support those creators. That's my only. So I can see why they may go up in price now.
Did you ever see how that works with how the Image contract is?
No.
The creators get the lion's share of the finances from the individual issues. That is why people like Brubaker and a couple others put all the bonuses in the individual issues and leave them out of the trades.
Huh.
So the Image, the publisher itself, on the trades gets the lion's share of the money. So the percentages switch with the individual issues. The creator gets most of it. Trades, Image itself recoups. So that's why like Walking Dead became such a coup for Image, later on, because, they ended up getting most of that money.
Yeah.
So think about that when you trade weight, which I know some people, it's just more economical for them to trade weight. But if it's a creator that you absolutely support, go buy the single issues, because that's where they get the lion's share of what supports them.
I think.
Go ahead.
Oh, I think that's where, like, a lot of them, like you said, like they do make their money. And I think that when you do get single issues, the more people buying single issues means that they end up making more money. If you're still buying an image title at issue 12 or 13, that means there's excitement. There's more likelihood of the series actually continuing. So yeah, 100%. If you like a creator, if you like a team, an artist or a writer, a colorist, a letterer, if you like letterers, shout out to the unsung heroes. But, keep buying the single issues. You're right.
I 100% like single issues. I follow artists and writers, where I feel like as I've gotten older, I follow writers more than anything. And most of the artists I like stopped doing interior art.
Yeah.
So like Travis Charest or Charest, he did Alan Moore's Wildcats.
Okay.
This dude is such a fantastic artist. His covers are dynamic. Just he went and started doing the Humanoids Overseas, those books. And then all of a sudden, X-Men a year ago, he started doing I think X-Men Red, doing the covers again. I was like,
oh,
I'm not reading this, but I will buy his covers. I have to. It's like Becky Cloonan. I buy every one of her covers.
Yeah.
Like I love her. Like she is so hysterical, like online and just every cover she does, I buy. Like her Witches cover is like one of my favorite ones.
I don't know if you got a chance to pick up, this maybe came out maybe 4 or 5 years ago, maybe longer, by Chance or Providence. Man, that book is just absolutely beautiful. Becky Cloonan, like her work is so hypnotic, and it's such a beautiful, like, I think of medieval style stuff. Maybe that's just because a lot of the writing is like kind of medieval, like fantasy based, but it's beautiful.
Her cover for Reaver #1, like I loved.
Yep.
Okay, your next pick.
Okay, so my next pick, so let me get in here. My next pick is November. It's a title that came out last year. Matt Fraction, Elsa. I'm gonna probably butcher this name, but Elsa
Charity. Yeah, I can't even remember.
Charitier. I'm really sorry, Boo, if I mispronounce that. But anyways, Matt Hollingsworth, Kurt Ankeny. There was a lot of hype when this book came out, and I've been seeing it, and then because there was a really good deal, I pulled the trigger. It's still in the wrapping, as you can see. I can still smell a little bit of new comic book on there, so I'm really excited. It's like a mystery. It's one of the I don't know, like whodunit type things. So I'm really excited about this one. And Matt Fraction also lives here in Portland. So since I just moved here, I'm very excited to kind of delve in and can I see some of those like Portland influences here in this book?
Josh Williamson lives there as well.
Oh, really?
He always joked about seeing Brian Michael Bendis riding his bike around Portland as he was writing.
Yeah.
I've heard that's a thing.
I met him, but that's going to be a topic for off camera.
I have some of those encounters with some people in the industry that I will not share on camera.
Oh, it's nothing like bad. Like he is a truly like genuine, he was a beautiful human being. But yeah, I'll talk about that later, maybe at a different time. So yeah, I'm really excited to read because I really do enjoy Matt Fraction. Sex Criminals is one of my favorite titles.
I got a question. How is Fraction like with a book like that? Because I have a weird love-hate relationship with some of Fraction's books where he takes kind of flights of fancy that are a little what was it, Odyssey with Christian Ward?
Odyssey is one of my favorite titles. So, I mean, I think with that one, there's
the art threw me off so bad with Christian Ward.
I love his artwork. That's another one where the artwork is so hypnotic. I even have an Odyssey coloring book because of course I do, because I'm one of those weird millennial adults that likes comic books and has expendable income to spend on stupid shit. But Odyssey is one of my favorite titles, so I don't think that it'll necessarily compare to this in any way. Maybe I'll talk about this one a little bit more once I've read it, and on next Wednesday, I'll give a little bit of a review on it. But yeah, Odyssey is one of my favorite titles by Matt Fraction, and so yeah.
And here's
What's
a book
yours?
I've briefly discussed before, Southern Bastards. This is book 1. This is the version that has volume 1 and 2 in it. This is a book, if you've lived in the South, you will understand how big football is down here, especially high school football. This book by Jason Aaron and Jason Latour is about a place called Craw County in Alabama, where football is king, and the kingpin of crime is the head coach of the football team, the high school football team. And they really explore how fucked up people kind of raising football in this little town above everything else. They ignore the fact that the football coaches, they all know that he's running drugs and everything else. This former resident comes back to bury his father and look at his house, and he has a run-in with the coach and basically decides to, you know, have a standing tall moment and face him down. Basically, he gets killed. And you go through the reaction of everyone dealing with this. Everybody is drawn hideous in this. It's just these show how twisted everyone is. Kind of an example. It's just a lot of ugliness. And eventually this guy's daughter comes back. She's African American. And then they go into the blatant racism of even the children in the town. It's one of those books that I think my friend put it like this. She felt dirty after reading it, but she couldn't stop reading it. And Jason Aaron is one of those guys. He does not hold back, not one bit. And it's a fascinating read where, like, this high school football is the background, but the characters are king. Even he's called Coach Boss, which is a stupid name. They have his backstory of how he came to be as fucked up as he is. He was this little guy that couldn't play football, and then he built himself up into it. And they go through his arc and how he ended up becoming this twisted individual who started out as kind of pure. It's been on hiatus for, I feel like, almost 2 years now.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything new from it. But no. You're 100% right. Like, football culture, and especially high school and college football culture in the South, is a thing. Like, I used to, when I lived in North Florida for a few years, and that was near the University of Florida, or FSU
and UF.
And UF. Like, I am telling you, people in the South don't know what the fuck to wear if it's not like football colored like things. People in North Florida think that orange and blue go together, and like, it does not, but it's a football color, so who gives a shit? So 100%, like, when it comes to football in the South, people base their entire lives, their wardrobes, their schedules around football, and it is a thing. It is a thing.
I will also bring up, someone in my town, their son went to the Florida-Georgia game where they have that neutral field, and he was beaten to death at the game.
Yeah.
That is a thing that happens.
Football culture is kind of toxic. I think that, I could probably like get off track and go into that. I think that in hopefully sooner rather than later, but in a couple decades, we're definitely going to see the effect that it has on people as far as I can't think of the disease, but people getting injured, head injuries from football.
Oh, CTE.
CTE. So I think that in a couple years, hopefully we'll see that. So anyways, football is a culture in the South, It's weird. It's a thing. It's a cult, but
it's an interesting read, though. This is another one of those series that you can pick up cheap. The trades. I believe there's 3 trades right now for it, and then it just stopped. But Jason Aaron was very involved with Thor and the War of the Realms.
Yeah.
I hope it comes back at some point because I'd really like to have the story finish. But
maybe during all this time, there's some time to get it done.
I don't know. This is such a weird fucking time in culture, comics. Like we have movies now that were supposed to come out next month are pushed to 2021 now.
Man, I was so looking forward to Black Widow, and I don't know, maybe we'll get a June or July release date. Who knows? But
Wonder Woman's pushed to August, I think.
Wonder Woman, surprisingly, I feel like I'm going to go see it no matter what, but the trailer didn't do it for me.
Oh, you put Blue Monday in a trailer, and you have Oberyn Martell with this bad 80s hair wig.
Yeah, and I feel like it's just overdoing on the 80s nostalgia, and I feel like when it comes to that, it needs to have heart, and I don't see the heart yet. Maybe I'll see it when I see the movie, but...
I do remember when I was in the middle of having a breakdown, Gambit was here, and I was like, the trailer came on, and he goes, she's riding the lightning. Metallica, Ride the Lightning came out in 84. And I was just like, great excitement, thank you. I'm just like, oh... That's great. Thanks.
That gets me a little bit more pumped for it, but we'll see if it ever ends up.
But then again, I thought Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman movie, was not going to be good, and I walked out going, I buy that love affair between them. I was like, yeah, he's fucking charming. Mm-hmm. Captain Kirk can get Wonder Woman. Yeah. Tiberius. Your next pick.
Okay. I bought a lot, so there's a lot of stuff right here. So the next thing that
that was my last comic, so you can rapid fire yours.
Okay, I'll just go ahead and kind of...
Or not rapid fire, but,
just like throw them and pick them up. Yeah. Okay, so anyways, the next one I got was Doomsday Clock Volume 1. Whenever this was coming out, I feel like I was really excited for it, because... I felt like it was really going to marry the DC universe with some Watchmen stuff, and then the production schedule just disappointed me to all hell. I've had so many arguments with people that are like, yeah, even if a comic book comes out late, I'll still buy it. And I'm like, I'm not, because I feel like I'm confused. Like, if the schedule isn't coming out, I'm just going to wait for the trade. So I picked up the first couple issues of this, and then never picked it up. So I did go ahead and I pulled the trigger and got part 1. So
this is the thing, D Comic Queen and I, when we did our stream on it, it really doesn't pick up, really like heat up to like where it starts moving at a good pace till issue 6, where everything starts kind of making sense. Yeah. And then once it does that, that's when the frustration started with everybody going like, all right, like where's the next issue? And I felt bad because Gary Frank was getting just crucified on Twitter to the point where he had to like stop and be away from it. Yeah. And he kept apologizing. Look, I want to put out the best product I can, but I need time to do it. And when it comes out as an absolute, the oversized, I will buy it. His art is fucking phenomenal. And it introduces 2 of my favorite characters that have been introduced in the past couple of years. Mime and Marionette are fantastic.
Yeah. So we'll see. Maybe I'll talk about this one next Wednesday, and maybe on Friday, depending on how good this read goes, then maybe I'll buy volume 2. Who knows? We'll see. I bought a couple other things. I'm just going to go ahead and pull these out just to get through them, but I needed to pick them up for my collection, either because they were missing. I think I lent them to someone. But Paper Girls Volume 6. I read in single issues, didn't have the... we're not going to talk like spoilers or anything like that.
But... No. I was going to say, did you finish it to the end? Had you read it Were you disappointed with how that ended?
Kind of. I feel like it was not cheap, but not disappointed because it was still good. we'll
Sorry,
see.
my cat's sticking his head in my shoe, and I don't know why.
No, that's okay. So I really this series was such an emotional, like literally from the beginning of this series. This one, you go into it thinking it's going to be one thing, and then it just gut punches you into something else. And I'm sad to see it go, but
I think it went at a good time because the last like 12 issues or so, I started going, all right, like I'm
yeah.
just not as into this as I was. It kind of went way away from what I went, and maybe my expectation of where it was going kind of affected it. But the end just felt like a thud. Like
Mm-hmm.
it ended, and I was like, I closed the issue. I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, my other two pickups, because like I said, for some reason I think that I either lent them to someone, or so I just got Sandman Volume 2, Volume 3. So now I've got all of them back in my possession. So uh, once now that I have all of these right here, I'm probably going to go ahead and do like a reread through them, a big reread. We'll see. I don't know how long that'll take, maybe a day or two. But
What I love about that run too is the whole backstory about what happened with Neil Gaiman with the Midsummer Night's Dream retelling, where he won an award, and then the day after they changed the rules for the award that he could never win it again. A comic could never win it again.
I mean, Neil Gaiman, my thing about awards is that, like, even if someone wins an award, it doesn't mean that a story is good. But, like, seriously, when I think of comics, like, Neil Gaiman is who got me into comic books. Like, I know that there's some storytelling in this that I think that if it was told today, it would be very different, especially being very overly critical the way that it treats transgender characters in this, and it basically kills off every transgender character in this, which now I don't think he's apologized, like kind of backtracked on some of that with this series, but this series will always be one of my favorites. So I think it's definitely worth a reread, and I definitely think because this is such a big series, like a big comic book series, it should be easy. If someone wanted to go into their local comic shop and pick it up, you could for sure go ahead and pick up at least volume 1.
It's a staple at Barnes and Noble, even them carrying, like, it's just one of those books that they just have if you walk in.
Yep.
Of course, if there's a stay-at-home order, those bookstores are not essential, so you're going to be doing online.
Yeah.
More than likely.
Another one that I picked up, I have never read this one, and I feel like, I don't know why, I probably should have, blah, 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 but Sex Volume 1, I think that when it came out, it was very, because obviously, like, things happen, it's a little bit more rated R, which I enjoy, like, I enjoy weird rated R shit anyways, but
it was overhyped because there was, like, all this criticism of it when it came out.
Yeah.
And then I was like, it's fine. Like, it's just,
yeah,
it is what it is. I was hoping you were going to pull Planetary out.
No, I looked for that, and it wasn't, when I did this order, it wasn't there, so I didn't. But I'm going to see if I can get it. Okay, so I've got two more books that were part of my big order. So the next one was Hexwives.
I liked it.
I think I ended up getting issue 1, didn't get the rest. And it was right at the end, like you can see on here, DC Vertigo, it was right before DC ended before a big change. So it's basically about these witches, women through history. So we'll see. I'm really excited to read Hexwives. I think that this will do for me what the newer Sabrina comic books didn't. The new Sabrina comic books were a little bit kind of like twee and cute, which isn't a bad thing, but I wanted a little bit more occult.
So I will recommend a great book by Caitlin Kittredge, Coffin Hill.
Coffin Hill. I have it.
Okay, because I was like, you want some Satanism, witchcraft? Yeah. That's your Huckleberry.
Yeah. So, and my last one, just because I went ahead and got Dawn of X collected, and it's not like it is kind of its own storyline, but it basically collects X-Men Marauders, Excalibur, New Mutants, X-Force, Fallen Angels #1. So I really just wanted to have it all collected. Oh, I can smell it. It's so good. I love it. It smells like the Hero Trader shop that I really dearly miss. So yeah, that was my pickup from Hero Trader. He sent it in a Horror Trader box, which is still kind of cool.
I like that.
Yeah.
So it's interesting you bring up your gateway writer for comics, because sometimes I'm curious about like what was it, because I know some people it's artists. Definitely, like I came in right before the whole guys who ended up leaving for Image. Like Todd McFarlane with Peter David on Hulk was one of my favorite books. I wouldn't say that was my gateway, because Frank Miller, Dark Knight in year one were 100% like, I remember reading that and being like, holy shit, I want more of this. This is, and yes, I'm 100% a Frank Miller apologist for a good chunk of things. I will never, Holy Terror, I will never apologize for. I will never apologize for Dark Knight 2. Never, ever. From Frank Miller, I found Alan Moore, which, again, Alan Moore, like at his prime, there was none better.
Yeah, 100%.
I also really like Denny O'Neil, especially with Neil Adams, because they did a lot of social justice stuff back with their runs, especially on Green Arrow, Green Lantern.
What are you talking about? Social justice stuff, but we don't put politics into comic books.
Oh, they sure did.
I'm just kidding.
Yes.
I'm just kidding. Anyone who says that comic books shouldn't be political are like lying to themselves, because comic books have always been political. From the beginning, have always had politics. So.
Oh yeah, you had a bunch of Jewish creators during World War II.
Punching Nazis.
Yes, and doing the most offensive art of Japanese that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, ever. I like Will Eisner in his Spirit also has one of the most offensive portrayals of a black man I've ever seen.
Ooh, I don't know if I want to see that, but
you don't.
Okay.
It's this character with giant lips.
Oh no.
Like it is real offensive, and I know, you kind of to a degree have to go with what was going on at the time, but still, like, this lionizing of it to a degree of like,
whenever people talk to me about, or whenever I hear the phrase, well, that was just their time and this and that, like even during the time when people were segregating fucking water fountains and counters at like shops, there were always people fighting against it. So to me, it's not that like some people were ahead of the time or ahead of the curve. It's just that those people were 100% behind the time, because even when in the 60s and 70s, when people were fighting for social justice, I don't know, there's a lot of shitty people. I could go into that forever.
I mean,
that's a whole nother episode.
It was a huge deal. I watched one of the comic documentaries, and they had a African American comic book historian. I cannot remember his name, but for him as a kid, it was a big deal seeing a African American at Peter Parker's school in Spider-Man.
Yep.
That was a huge deal. And then to have like Luke Cage, which was basically an offensive portrayal of the, Dolomite and Shaft movies. They had the Lois Lane when she changed her skin black and had a day in the life of her as a black woman. They tried it in certain degree. Like Black Panther was so progressive.
I think
at the time.
I agree, but I think that at the same time, while comic books were writing these characters, we still had straight white dudes writing black characters of color. And I think that as much as we can say, oh, well, we do have Black Panther and we do have like all of these progressive things, at the same time, we still had so few creators of color. And I think that now I'm really glad to see a lot more diversity, not just in the characters, but in the writing and art that we get to. So
yeah, I mean, the Milestone imprint for DC was the first African American creator conglomerate, really, and I can't remember if it was Karen Berger or who it was at DC that let them go ahead with the imprint, but Dwayne McDuffie, his like legacy in comics as a creator, and there's a documentary about him on the end of the Justice League animated movie Doom. I recommend watching it. It's heartbreaking, but so great to watch.
Yeah.
And did you have another book, or
that was mostly it from the like order that I got? I did want to go ahead and just really quickly, because we are talking about books from big publishers, but I wanted to go ahead and do a shout out to just a couple of weird things that I picked up and some indie stuff that I picked up. I picked up a while back these cute little, I don't know if you can see, Magical Beatdown from Jen Woodall, put out by Silver Sprocket. It's beautiful. It's basically like this girl, she gets harassed and then turns into this badass, like Sailor Moon character. So it's beautiful. I absolutely love this story. I got this as a sticker and as a pin too. It says, "What do you do? You've been catcalled. You kill, kill, kill." I love it. It's adorable. So like I said, you can go to, I think silversprocket.net and pick these up. I picked them up from the local shops here. Another one that I thought was really fun. This one I picked up from one of the local shops here. And then it's funny, kind of serendipitous. The creator came out to me and said, he asked if I would like to like get a preview, and I'm like, yo, I already have a copy. Like, I went into my local shop. You can go to scannerpunk.com, pick this up. It's really cute. It's really like, it's that weird brand that I really enjoy. So those were just a couple like little creator owned stuff that I picked up.
Okay. And now we're going to go into novels that we're reading. And there's nothing better to talk about during a quarantine than a book that we both love and has controlled a piece of my life for the last, I don't remember how many years. And it always made me laugh because at Barnes & Noble every summer on Beach Reads, the humor of it was not lost on me that Dune by Frank Herbert was on that table.
Yup.
Someone had a real sick sense of humor. So if you are looking for a series to dive into that will occupy the shit out of your time and make you think after reading it and go, I do remember after finishing Dune the first time going, oh my God, there's more books of this. I have to go now and keep reading.
Yep.
It is a kind of hard book to get through your first time. It's a lot to ingest. But I completely recommend the immersive world to go into. If you are a Game of Thrones fan, the political intrigue in this will keep you occupied. You're going to learn a whole new terminology of stuff. Mm-hmm. You may find yourself getting Fremen terms. Like looking at someone, you're like, oh, what a waste of water. You know,
what a waste of water. Yep.
I love this series.
If someone is going to get into Dune, because you're right, like it is 100%, I don't want to call it a tough read or a hard read, but it kind of is. It's, it would maybe even help to have, like for me personally, I needed to visualize the characters, and it was really hard to visualize the characters when I first read it. So not necessarily that I would say like watch the movie first or the show, but even if you can have like a basic like rundown of who all these characters are before going into it, 100% I would suggest that.
Some soul uploaded the entire sci-fi series movie onto two parts on YouTube. I'm not condoning the bootlegging of it, but it's on there if you're locked in the house and you got about 6 hours to kill. You can find it there, then read the book. Then go watch David Lynch's Abomination. That is on Amazon Prime Instant right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think it still is. And then from there, go watch Jodorowsky's Dune.
Watch the documentary Jodorowsky's Dune. It will break your heart.
I want that Bible, the Mobius,
Yeah.
the Jean Giraud. I just want to touch it and look through it, if anything. Like it's a lost opportunity.
Most people I would say who watch this or even like kind of know what's going on. So Dune is being remade into a movie. Hopefully we'll get to see it this November. If coronavirus kills us all, like I hope that I can at least like see this Dune movie that's going to come out. Funny story, a week ago I woke up and the first thing that I do is of course get on the internet, and I'm scrolling through my phone and I see a Dune trailer and I'm like, this is what's going to get me through this fucking quarantine is a Dune trailer. I start to watch it. It's one of those shitty fake
fan-made ones.
And I wanted to vomit. I hate myself for like I got got by a fake Dune trailer. I went on this roller coaster where I was like, okay, I'm waking up. There's a Dune trailer, and then I dropped, bottomed out.
Oh, I've already like everybody's going nuts because the Halloween Kills trailer is supposed to be coming. Like they've been harassing Jason Blum, going, "This will get me through the quarantine. I need to see this new Michael Myers Halloween Kills trailer." And he goes, "Oh, we're editing it. It's going to be fantastic." So of course the internet's like, "Oh, it's coming! It's coming!"
Yeah, it'll probably be months. Who knows?
It would be a good like thing. It'll get me through it because of course speculation. Everybody's like, "What happens?" And Entertainment Weekly just released a picture of the flashback Loomis of Donald Pleasance, from a flashback. It's kind of digitally enhanced with the horrible Dr. Sartain from Halloween 2018, my least favorite character ever introduced in the series. Yes, I'm a Halloween nerd. I have no problem with it, and it has nothing to do with Dune. So Dune has 9 books, I think, total, with the Brian Herbert, Kevin J. Anderson.
Yeah.
So my recommendation is you read the original Frank Herbert ones. Then you read the House Atreides, Harkonnen, and Carino. And then you read the expanded universe. Well, not even expanded. The Butlerian Jihad ones.
Where does Dune Messiah fit into all this?
Dune Messiah is the second book.
That should be the second one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then it's Children of Dune. Then God Emperor. Then Chapter House, I think. And Dune Messiah is all about Paul starting to question his path. Paul is an incredibly complicated character. How he becomes what he really doesn't want to be. And he fights the whole time that he doesn't want to have this jihad. He ends up causing a jihad.
But then knows that it, like, has to happen.
Like everything, he knows it has to happen. He even starts going out after he goes in the desert, to actually come and speak out against himself as Muad'Dib, that his words were false. So he actually becomes his own critic, sort of. His son becomes the God Emperor. God Emperor is one of the most fascinating books you will ever read, with the golden path, what it leads to, and how changing the planet ruined it.
Yeah. If anyone gets the chance, I know these are like, they're big, thick with 2 C's books to get through, which hopefully if you have some time and you're not totally depressed because of the state of the world and everything, and you get a chance to read them at some point through this. One other thing that I would recommend while you're reading all of this is there's a book called The Road to Dune, which talks a little bit about behind the scenes and I always love telling people about how Dune got started and that Frank Herbert was a shitty journalist in Florence, Oregon, was researching the ecological effects of basically building dunes on the beach and the havoc that it wreaked. The article completely failed, and you can read this article in this book, but Road to Dune goes into that, and then you even get to see how Dune was originally supposed to be written. So that's very cool. So if in all of this reading that you're doing, if you're like, oh, I wonder how this was made, I highly recommend Road to Dune. And especially if you end up watching Jodorowsky's Dune, the documentary, like, please, for the love of all that is good in this world, please watch Jodorowsky's Dune too, because it's good, it's heartbreaking, and
But please watch David Lynch's first, because you have to see what a polar opposite Jodorowsky's was, and how insanely happy he was that David Lynch's sucked.
That it was a garbage fire. Yeah.
Basically.
And then maybe after reading all the like official, not official, whatever, like books of Dune, then maybe check out, because Alejandro Jodorowsky didn't get to make Dune, you can check out the comic books that he did with Mobius, and you can check out the Inkle, all of those.
Humanoids Press.
Yeah, which actually does a lot more than just the Jodorowsky weird ass shit.
Very hard to find those books locally at your comic store. You can order them. You can also order them direct through, I believe, Humanoids as well, but with shipping international, it's the haul.
Each book is probably going to set you back like maybe $80, maybe more like 60 bucks, maybe with shipping 70, 80, but they are kind of hard to find. But if you can pick up at least the Inkle, so I would probably also say at some point during all of this, like, read the Dune books, watch the Dune movies, watch Jodorowsky's Dune, read Road to Dune, pick up the first Inkle, at least if you can, and then watch Fifth Element. It explains it in the documentary why you should maybe watch Fifth Element. Go ahead and watch it, because
Fifth Element's awesome. A great movie, though.
Like, I watched that movie this morning because it was on my brain.
Every movie that director has done after that has never been as good.
No, because he did that other one based on what was it, Valerian?
Oh.
And it was, to me, like, the movie was kind of pretty, but at the same time, I hated it. I fell asleep during that movie.
And honestly, all I ever see Dane DeHaan is just like low rent Leonardo DiCaprio, but without the talent.
Yeah. What was your term, Bobo?
Bobo, yes.
Bobo, Leo
Cara Delevingne, like, I wish she was a better actress, but the two of them, their chemistry was Canadian. Like, they had like the chemistry of two bags of wet shit.
Yeah.
Like, I can't buy them being romantic. I was just like, oh, no. And I was like, oh, it's Harry Osborn, the bad Harry Osborn from that Spider-Man movie. But he was good in Chronicle.
I think I went into Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets. I think I went into it thinking like, okay, this is going to be like, I thought it was going to be fun, and it was barely fun for me. I mean, it was kind of cool. It was kind of fun. Maybe if I was more inebriated or intoxicated, it would have been more fun, but couldn't do it.
I don't think that would have helped. I would have been like out of my mind, like, oh, I paid for this. Why?
Yeah.
Or sound like Nancy Kerrigan after getting her leg hit. Why? There was a movie I saw drunk, and I wish I hadn't. It was that movie with the spaceship that actually takes them into hell with Lawrence Fishburne.
I know what you're talking about, and I can't
remember the name of it, but I got drunk at this restaurant, Jungle Jim's, and we got bombed, and I went and saw it, and I was just like confused. And then afterward, my friend stole the gorilla from out in front of Jungle Jim's and put it in his truck. Sorry, I didn't.
So, moral of the story:
don't get
drunk and watch movies about spaceships, because it'll give you bad ideas.
Yeah, with your asshole buddy who's even more drunk than you. Do you have any novels you want to talk about?
The only one, and I feel bad because I picked this one up a very long time ago, because a friend recommended it to me, and we were like, oh, let's read it together. And then he read it in like 2 days, and then I think that I don't know what happened, but I didn't read it. But it was recently recommended to me again by another friend, so I'm like, okay, I'll see if I can go ahead and get to this. It's Children of Time, which one of those humans leave Earth type stories, and then yeah, that's all I really know. But it sounded really good, and it's really long. So I'm like, okay, I have a lot of time. I should do a lot more reading. But I've been reading mostly comic books, so now I'm going to go ahead and try to get into this one. It was highly, highly, highly recommended to me, so I feel like I should read it.
Have you ever read China Miéville?
No. Mm-mm.
Check out some of his books. He's a sci-fi writer. I kind of like his style. Kraken is pretty good by him. Kind of got to pick your entry point into him, though.
Yeah.
And my next one is nonfiction. It's Kevin Smith's Tough Shit. It's kind of a funny yet inspirational book. And we can all use a little bit of humor right now, but it starts a little dark because it's him the night his father died. And how his dad died screaming.
Oof.
Yeah, like it's...
And this is supposed to be fun?
It starts out with that, and it's like, you know, how bad do you think your life is? You know, tough shit.
Is this pre or post heart attack Kevin Smith?
Pre-heart attack.
Okay, because I know that he had a heart attack, what, like 2 years ago, something like that, and then completely like changed his diet and went
Event
on
Horizon.
Event Horizon. That was Event Horizon.
Larian's on par with the D&D movie.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot about that D&D movie. Oh boy. Ooh, was that one of the Wayans in that?
No, I can't even remember. It's been so long since I've seen that.
I try to forget it. Boy, I put that movie way out of my head.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Kevin Smith movie, it was a little bit inspirational, like, you know, why waffle on what you're thinking about doing? You could die screaming like my father, you know, and talks about, you know, some of the stuff he overcame. Again, it was enough humor, but it also was enough, like, when I finished reading it, I was like, yeah, why the fuck am I not doing this?
Yeah.
So again, it's got enough laughs in it to cover the heavy stuff. And also, like, if you haven't been listening to his podcast, the Smodcast, I will forever recommend the Harry Potter episodes where they're making fun of his co-host Scott Mosier, where it became Harry Scotter. Some of them, they just make me laugh hysterically, and they go down these weird, because Kevin's getting high and we'll just start talking about weird shit.
Yeah. Can't relate to that.
Jeremy Irons, Thora Birch, and Blue Lipstick Dude. That's who was in D&D. Oh, man. So I am now on to movies.
Okay.
And I brought a bunch.
Ooh, okay.
So I had this weird thing where I lionized a movie that I maybe have been wrong about. So I hated on the remake quite a bit. And I came back to say I was wrong. Evil Dead 2013, the remake. When I first saw it, I was real hard on it because, well, it's not Bruce Campbell.
Yeah. But now?
Years later, I watched it and I changed my opinion on it. I also watched the uncut version of it. Made a huge difference because, good God, it's so gory. And I rewatched the original Evil Dead. The original Evil Dead, the characters are all unlikable, even Bruce Campbell in it.
Mm-hmm.
This one, the characters are all unlikable. But Jane Levy as the main character, this time around when I watched it, I liked her a lot more. And the way she loses her arm is so bloody and gruesome. It's
hard to watch.
Yes. there's a character my friend and I call Hipster Jesus. He probably should have died about 7 times, but he kept rising from the dead. So that's why we called him Hipster Jesus. You couldn't keep him down. He looked like he would have been a barista at a true Starbucks, not a Barnes & Noble Starbucks.
The Barnes & Noble Cafe.
Yes. Yes, the Barnes & Noble Cafe with Starbucks.
With Starbucks, selling Starbucks products.
Yes, but not the gift cards. You cannot buy the Starbucks gift card. You were use them there. No.
And the Cheesecake Factory.
Yes. Oh, God, I'm having flashbacks now. So I always bought the scones, cinnamon. So the uncut version of it is fantastic. On the rewatch, my whole opinion, because I shit all over this movie when it first came out, and I regret it a little bit. And then I realized it's actually Evil Dead 2 that I fell in love with, and that's where Bruce Campbell became like nutty, fun Bruce Campbell.
Yeah.
I recommend, if you hated it the first time watching it, go back and rewatching this version. I picked it up really fairly cheap, and it's got the 2 different cuts on it, 2 discs. But the uncut version is the one to watch. There is a scene that made me wince in my seat watching, where the girl is taking a piece of the mirror and cutting her Joker smile into her mouth. But 100% go back and watch this. It is worth watching, and it's never on streaming ever. So that's why I had to buy it, because I ended up doing a 45-minute review on it back when I was still doing movie reviews. And also I got a content claim on that too for 30-second clip. Next up, The Lighthouse. There is a weird theme I'm doing here with isolation flicks.
Yeah. So
this is just Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe, basically as roommates stuck in this lighthouse. And it's almost a descent into madness. If you've ever watched The Witch, you know what this director does.
Yeah.
Beautiful shots, some weird psychedelic scenery at times. Gave me a new appreciation for Robert Pattinson, and he actually outacts Willem Dafoe in craziness in this movie.
Ooh.
But go ahead.
Sorry. So, I feel like when you and I first started streaming, when I came onto the show the first time, I feel like this movie was recommended to me, and I have yet to watch it. So I personally apologize. So I'm going to go ahead, and it's going to be my mission to go ahead and watch this movie, because it has been recommended so many times, and I hear nothing but good things about it. So I need to really, really, really watch it.
It's one of those movies, though, when you turn it off, you're going to sit and think about the ending. I started going on to Google and looking up people's interpretations of the ending because it's a thinker. You'll turn it off and all right, what happened? There's also Cthulhu-like imagery that happens at times.
That's what I kept hearing, that it had some Lovecraftian vibes. And I recently watched The Color Out of Space with Nicolas Cage, and I feel like that one was so 100%. Since watching him in Mandy, I will never make fun of him as an actor.
Mandy is
again.
So good.
So I feel like I watched Color Out of Space, and I don't know, maybe I'll go and do some Lovecraft stuff, but Lighthouse.
Port of Call, New Orleans, Bad Lieutenant 2 with Nicolas Cage. I would have given him an award for that. That movie, it's insane. For a Lovecraft movie, did you ever watch that Lovecraft documentary where it's Neil Gaiman and Guillermo del Toro?
Ooh, no, but I feel like I should. I'm disappointed in myself for
not. It's the whole thing's on YouTube.
Okay.
It's 2.5 hours. It's fucking great. And the narration is old recordings of Lovecraft reading his own stuff.
Okay.
And it's Neil Gaiman, starts with him reading lines from the Mountains of Madness.
Okay.
And he says, he'll always say, this starts with this trope. Every book of his always starts kind of the same. But they really go deep on his xenophobia and everything else. So they didn't exactly paint him in the best picture.
Which they shouldn't, like 100%. I think that it's very, very important to be critical about those things. But
I'll send you the link to the documentary later because I think
perfect.
I have it saved on my watch list because every
Okay.
now and again on Halloween I'll start watching it. Next up,
Next movie.
I am a huge fan of early like new wave and stuff like that. And Steve Coogan was in this not really a biopic. I don't really know what to call it, but it's kind of the rise and fall of Factory Records, who put out Joy Division, New Order, The Happy Mondays. It's 24-hour party people.
24-hour party people.
And it's basically about Factory Records, and it is goes through the forming of Joy Division, the forming of the label, even how Ian Curtis, when he hung himself, getting New Order together, how this label was so mismanaged that the guy Tony Wilson, who he started the label with a couple other people, he was also a TV personality. He ended up blowing all of the record label's money on furniture for their meeting room.
And
like
that's 24-hour party people.
Party
is what
people.
that one's called. Okay.
Yes, I'm a huge fan of the older new wave music.
Same.
And to see like the nonsense, like the Happy Mondays were such drug fiends that they pulled a gun on the record label people and ransomed money from them so they could buy drugs to get the master tapes back. So like just it's an insane movie. Like it really is. And of course it's, fictional retellings of it. For Joy Division fans though, if you really want to watch serious stuff, there is the movie Control.
Ooh.
That is all about Joy Division and mostly Ian Curtis.
Is it fiction or like documentary?
It's a biopic, sort
Okay.
of. There is a Joy Division documentary by Anton Corbijn that is the most in detail, and it goes into. There's a part of it where members of Joy Division were talking about how selfish Ian was and how pissed they were. I went down like a rabbit hole with all this stuff.
That's tough to hear. I mean, for anyone who doesn't know about like Joy Division and Ian Curtis killing himself, I don't know. The music was beautiful, and sometimes I wonder what we could have had if that didn't happen. But
I don't know if New Order or that sound would have ever happened. I'm a huge New Order fan.
Yeah.
But Ian Curtis though was such a tortured individual, and like part of why he committed suicide was he had this cheating on his wife. The whole song "Love Will Tear Us Apart," which his wife became furious about because he basically sang about how not in love he was with her.
Have you? So really quick. So you probably know who the Dresden Dolls and Amanda Palmer is.
Yeah.
Have you? They did a side project. Her and I forget who else it was. A side project called Evelyn. And do you know about this?
No.
Okay, so they did a side project where basically they posed as conjoined twins. So it's like her like on a like ukulele, I think, and the other guy like on a piano. Well, Evelyn does a cover of Love Will Tear Us Apart, and it is beautiful and heartbreaking. So I highly recommend Love Will Tear Us Apart by Evelyn because it makes me cry every time.
I'll look it up.
I'll send that to you later.
Also, another thing about Ian Curtis that he had epileptic fits. I don't even know if it was epilepsy, but he went into seizures and fits, and it would happen during concerts even. And it's also another thing that kind of tortured him. It's a documentary, but like it's hard to watch. It's very hard to watch. And you'll see like during film from one of the concerts of him having one of the fits. And in the Control movie, they kind of show it, also a recreation of it. It's again like you'll finish watching and go, oh my god, like oh. So if you're not feeling well, don't watch it. And next up,
next movie.
So I love badass final girls in horror movies. and You're Next is a favorite of mine. And Sharni Vinson is one of the greatest final girls in a movie ever. She is so badass, like one of the best. And again, this is a weird isolation movie. I guess I had a theme today.
Yeah.
This family is having a get together at their house, and it's out in the middle of nowhere. And these guys wearing wolf sheep masks come and start assaulting them while they're at dinner. And Sharni Vincent, her character, her family were crazy doomsday preppers and isolationists. So she goes into survival mode immediately, and one by one she starts killing these dudes. And then you find out there was a plot, like she's setting up all these traps all over the house. She is so bad, and there is a death in this movie that's the fucking greatest I've ever. She sticks a blender in a bitch's head.
Ooh.
Like or is a juicer, like right in the forehead, and it starts squirting. Like it is. I haven't seen anything like that since Phantasm, where the ball goes right into the guy's head and just starts drilling and squirting the blood out the back into the wall. But
is this like this reminds me of like Home Alone but Final Girls?
Yeah, actually kind of. It is, I want to say, on Hulu on there. It's usually on Netflix or Amazon Prime Instant. Fucking great movie. There is a song that keeps playing during the movie that will drive you insane, though.
What's the movie called one more time?
You're Next.
You're Next, okay.
Yes. Such a good movie, and as on the cover, that is one of the masks that the killer was wearing.
Okay.
And there is like a weird heel turn plot twist in it that makes it all the better. Some of the people in this family are the worst fucking people you will ever meet. So you kind of don't feel bad when they start getting killed. Love this movie, probably more than most people do, but it's high on my recommendation list. Any ones you think the people should watch?
I feel like I have had such an opportunity to watch so many new things that I would never really watched before, and so many good recommendations, and I've been a total piece of shit and just watched like the same stuff. Like I said, this morning I watched Fifth Element, and then I went to Blade Runner 2049. So I'm clearly not utilizing my time well by exploring new things. I'm just rewatching the goodies, the oldies.
Which is funny because so many people came out against Blade Runner 2049 that it was boring.
I mean, to me, like if you go head to head and you think like, okay, well, why was Blade Runner 2049 boring? If you took the original Blade Runner and you like, the original Blade Runner is probably going to be boring to you too, but you're just so invested in the nostalgia of it. To me, like it was not boring to me. It was there's a few moments that were maybe drawn out a little bit or things that could have been cut. Still a great movie.
I loved it. I mean, fuck, just the imagery and how well shot it was. I can appreciate all those things. Ryan Gosling, I'm not a huge fan of, but I weirdly came to care about his character and how conflicted he was, especially when he starts thinking that he's that child.
Yeah. Yep. There are a couple like criticisms that I have, and this is just criticisms of a lot of, it's like a trope in science fiction where stories will be 100 years in the future, 200 years in the future, and there are sex workers, and the sex workers are always female. Like I think that eventually this is me going off on a tangent, but I think eventually sex work, it should be legal. And I think eventually in the future, sex work will be legal. And I think that it won't just be women doing sex work. So in a lot of science fiction movies, including Blade Runner 2049, the only sex workers we see are female. The only Johns we see are male. So I think that, to me, like when I watch a movie, I'm like, why can't I get a little bit more diversity in my sex workers? Come on. And my sex worker consumers. I need a little bit more diversity in that stuff. So the fact that in Blade Runner 2049, we just see that, that was like my one point of contention. Like that's where my suspension of disbelief ended. So I don't
Well, I
know.
mean, I fell in love with that AI character, Joy.
Yeah,
Like,
which I mean, I don't know. I thought that would, to me, that's kind of a funny name for,
yeah, yeah.
but
Well, the
so
actress
anyway.
was in that weird Keanu Reeves movie, Knock Knock.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
It's one of the weird Eli Roth ones that aren't terrible. It's Keanu Reeves and these two girls show up at his house, knock on the door, and they seduce him. And they're batshit insane.
Hmm.
It's an interesting movie. This is Keanu before his little John Wick renaissance.
Okay.
His Wickessance.
His Wickasons.
Um, actually, to go back again, like Ridley Scott has this weird his writing lately on the movies. I don't know what's going on where he's criticizing his own work after the fact. Where he started bitching, he's like, 2049 was too long. I fucking wrote it. I know it's too long. I was like, so you know that it was too long, but you didn't try to edit it down.
I mean, maybe the point of them making it a little bit longer than it needs to be, ultimately, you know that a lot of things are going to be cut. But I don't know. I think that Blade Runner 2049 was still it was a good movie. It was beautiful. So I'm really excited to see what Dennis Villanueva, what he does for Dune.
Because
I think it'll be beautiful.
I had that weird moment with Prometheus where when I walked out of the theater, I was like, I could have watched more of it. So at the same time, I could have done with less.
Yeah. Prometheus, I thought was I enjoyed Prometheus.
I did too. And then I watched the sequel. I don't remember the name now. Alien.
Yeah.
I didn't buy it because I went to the theater and I was just like, I don't know what this movie wants to be. Is it an alien movie or is it Android on Android love? Or Fassbender on Fassbender love?
And I love Fassbender, so I could literally watch like Fassbender on Fassbender. Like I would totally watch that movie. But we'll never get that.
Yeah, like I felt like he had to have aliens in it, but he really just wanted to do a David movie.
Yeah, yeah.
And I feel that hurts the movie. I mean, we all know David was evil, like,
yeah.
And I blame it all on Noomi Rapace's boyfriend from Prometheus, making him angry by calling him, he thinks he's a real boy.
Yeah.
Like, that dude. Like, the whole series can be blamed on him at this point now. But that's a rant for another show.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else you might want to add before we start wrapping up?
No, I mean, I think
Alien Covenant, that's it. Thank you, Nicole.
Covenant. I think that the only thing is that I did go ahead and reread is I read volume 1 and I'm about to reread volume 2 because, a little bit of a segue into what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yes, Die Volume 2.
Volume 2.
We may or may not have D Comic Queen because she's just not sure what's going on at the moment. It's going to be 11 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Pacific. I have a lot to say about one of the issues in this. Not bad. There's a lot that happens in that issue I really need to talk about.
Yeah. Find out tomorrow.
Yes. And I told Gambit that he could join us if he wants on his iPad from his house, but he didn't finish reading it. He stopped at issue 7 and hadn't picked it up again.
Got it.
So, and again, stay safe. Wash your damn hands.
Wash your hands.
Work on your toilet paper stock.
Face. If you are worried about your toilet paper shortage, 90s comics, but also wash your butt. Like, learn how to wash your butt if you don't have toilet paper. Like, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, if you run out of toilet paper, hopefully you still have running water. Because there's a solution.
As always, go to Gambit's Inc. or .com, or on social media. He's at Gambits Inc. on all of the social medias. He also still taking commissions, still drawing D&D characters. I don't know if it's still $20. You might be able to work it out for him with him. I don't know if the feet picture is still a thing. I know our friend Sid said she wanted in on it because she has Futurama tattoos on her feet, so she'd have a special called Futurama.
Futurama.
That's your shout out, Sid. Love you. So also Gambit does he's got a lot of blank covers and he's really trying to move some of them, and he will do art on them. You can contact him through there and let him know what cover you want. I am on Instagram mostly. Twitter is there. I just promote on there and just read stuff. And Jen, of course, is at Jen and Comics on Instagram. And also sometimes on Twitter is Jen and Comics Show.
Twitter for me is just like an abandoned playground. Like people are having fun there, but I can't keep up with it. I just retweet on Twitter. You can still find me on there. I'll retweet something that I think is interesting. But
I'm just all up on Facebook for the thirst trap photos.
Thirst trap photos and the memes. The one thing that we didn't talk about today, and I'm kind of surprised we didn't talk about Tiger King. So maybe tomorrow
I haven't watched
we can
it.
talk.
I haven't watched it.
Okay, never mind.
The memes are fucking gold because that dude looks like it's someone who is into Joe Dirt, but at the same time, really like Siegfried and Roy.
Yeah, yep. So maybe if you get a chance to watch it tonight, because there are some incredible Tiger King Dune matchup memes that if you don't watch it soon, I'm going to start sending them to you.
Okay. How many episodes is it?
Maybe 6, 7. Yeah.
Oh, that's a lot.
Watch. No. Believe me, watch one, and it's just. Yeah.
Okay. I don't even know how those two can.
Yep. I didn't either. And then a friend posted one, and I'm like, I need more of these. I need more. This is what's getting me through this coronavirus quarantine where I'm in a 400 square foot apartment is a Dune Tiger King matchup.
I'll make sure I have work thirst trap pictures later to post in the thread.
Thank you.
I'll find a weird thing in my store. Maybe I'll have toilet bowls.
Find some bidets.
We do have those, but they're like individual. They're ones you hook up to your sink and you.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, you're on. But that's a little too much information. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of those. Usually, you can find me in the garden section. I like playing with my hose. Hose and soil.
Some soil.
But not Soylent Green. We don't have that. That's people.
It's made of people.
You bastards! You blew it up! You blew all them! You damn dirty apes! I love Charlton Heston. No one overacts like him. You know what? Actually, now thinking about it, I want a Nicolas Cage Planet of the Apes.
Nicolas Cage, right?
I want him in that Charlton Heston role. Oh, God. You blew it up! Just this Fast and the Furious character. Not Fast and Furious. Gone in 60 seconds. Did you ever watch that documentary, the Tim Burton Superman one? The Death of Superman Lives?
No. Mm-mm.
Oh, dude, him in that Superman suit. That mullet, it's fucking gold. It's such a great documentary. Oh my God, it is so good.
Okay. Maybe I'll try to watch some new stuff instead of rewatching the oldies.
I say that all the time and I never do. Like I'll end up turning on YouTube movie reviews for horror, like Dr. Wolfula or something, and just leave that on the background while I read.
Yeah.
I still haven't watched Zombieland Double Tap yet.
Neither have I. So.
And I bought Joker and I haven't rewatched it because I felt so dirty after watching it the first time.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't mind watching the behind the scenes stuff because I always like that stuff. But I will send you my Vudu code so you can watch Lighthouse.
Cool.
Because I have it on my Vudu because I couldn't get it on my movies anywhere for some reason. You can only redeem it on the one. But you watch it because I'm sure you and your partner will both be like fucked out after watching like what happened? Wait, hold on. Hold up. Like, we got to watch this again because I've watched it 3 times now.
Okay.
Since I bought it. Well, with that being said, join us tomorrow for another exciting deep dive. I'll probably be drinking, so I'll probably say something stupid.
Deep dive. Get
and
it? Dive.
drinking, yes. And the drinking game will probably be in effect.
Yeah.
I don't know how Tom King will get fit into that book, and I pray to God it does it. Expect about 80% of it to be about the book and about 20% of random nonsense.
Yeah. Maybe a little more random nonsense.
So long, farewell, wash your damn hands goodbye.
Bye.